We have Derry Grehan of Honeymoon Suite talking about some of his favorite songs, tunes that helped him fine-tune how to write great tunes. I mean, you hear a great song, you recognize it, and if you can recognize it's a great song, maybe you've got the ingredient to create something great yourself. Peter Gabriel, Don Henley, and a lot of other artists come up in this clip, while the head writers and lead guitarist of Honeymoon Suite, Derry Grehan, on Rock History Canada. Has there been one song that when you find you're doing stuff is throughout your life, has there been one song, and I do ask different questions, I try. Has there been one song that you've tried, you've had, it just sticks in your head? Or are there songs that you don't know why, that you just sing them in your head?
Oh, wow. Well, there's songs that I think are brilliant. I mean, I love Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel. You know, I love playing that. Boys of Summer, you know, Henley, of course, stuff like that are just brilliant songs.
Is that Danny Kortchmar that does, who does that, the Boys of Summer?
Yeah, I think that's the story. Actually, I think, you know what, with Boys of Summer is Mike Campbell from Tom Petty from the Heartbreakers. Right. I saw a thing, Mike Campbell actually wrote that, he demoed it. And he was going to use it for something else, and somehow he got it to Don Henley as just a rough demo, and Henley loved it, and they finished writing it. So it's really interesting to see where songs come from.
That has the perfect amount of melancholy, longing feeling. There's just something about that song that grabs you no matter what. That's one of those songs that comes up a lot when I ask, what song do you wish you would have written? You wouldn't believe how often Boys of Summer comes up.
Well, it's the lyric. It is, you said, hit it on the head, the melancholy of it, the sadness of it. And if you listen to that lyric and the missing of, opportunity or just the longing in it, if you can do that in a song, you've done your job. So,
high point of your career.
Oh, well, there's been a lot, but I think the first big high point is when Johnnie and I got our, finally we won the homegrown contest in Toronto with New Grow Now. And all of a sudden we were legitimate and we got our record deal. And I remember the first gold record from WEA, the first album, because that's a real milestone. I mean, I played on other people's albums, when I was younger, but nothing that ever sold a lot, but it was a stepping stone. And then with Honeymoon Suite, it's like, holy shit, Johnny, we've got a gold record, a Canadian gold record, but who cares? That's a huge step forward. So I'll never forget that. Well, as a songwriter, you got to be versatile. In my mind, anyways, you got to think outside the box, outside of your comfort zone. I've been in Nashville, many times over the years. I actually have a place there now, and I'll go into a country session. I don't care, because country is so pop. So I've written with country people down there, and I'm happy to contribute what I can contribute. I would love to, I don't know, somebody in Canada, I would love to write with Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance. I think we could knock out a really good song. Those are their hit makers, and I'd love to be in the room there.
Two versions of Love Changes Everything and New Girl Now. Digging it, man.
Yeah, cool. That's something we did in the initial sessions when we first started recording, when we were doing our bed tracks. Mike, again, the producer, said, well, while we're all here and set up, it's always good to have some re-records and some bonus tracks down the line for different markets. So we went out and cut a few of the older songs, and now we've got them in our back pocket, and we put two of them on this new record in Canada. And it just sweetens the pot, gives people more to listen to. And somebody gets the record and they're not familiar with the early Honeymoon Suite. They got, a couple of great songs from the earlier era that they can dig. And plus, we own the master.
In high school, were you known as that music guy?
I was the kid in the bands. Yeah, I never played no sports. I was too small for any football or anything, and I didn't care about that. Once I discovered guitar, it was all about, I just play guitar. I got in the variety shows at the school, and I got bitten by the bug. And as soon as I could, I was 15 or 16, I started putting little garage bands together, and just trying to get gigs around town. For
There's
sure.
a Dutch band called Kayak. I remember buying them this Kayak album in the deleted files, and I tried to get all my friends to like Kayak. Somehow they never did. Do you have one of those bands that somehow you just loved, but your friends just didn't get into, like the underrated band? Do you have an underrated band that you love but didn't catch fire?
Probably, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I mean, there were some great
See, that's
bands.
why they're underrated.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, there was a few bands. There was a cool band in St. Catharines when I was a kid called Bulrush. And they were like a local band. They were like rock stars to me because they went to Toronto and they made a record. And I'm like, holy shit. And then the local radio station played it. And I'm like, wow, these guys are rock stars. And I would see them at the local music store and just hanging out, the long hair. And, that was a band that I followed for a long time, local band.
And they obviously never got any bigger, right?
No, they tried. They cut some, they did some recording but they just kind of, eventually guys left to go into other bands and, never, some of them never got out of this, the small town, which you have to do. So they kind of faded away, but it inspired me, to be a player and to move away and chase my dream, if you will.
Do you ever think about that? McCartney said in the 70s, I think it was Rolling Stone magazine, he says, the greatest bands never made it. She got pregnant, dad died, he had to take over this, circumstances, crap that gets in the way because music somehow is a luxury. I mean, do you ever think about that your path could have changed direct, but you were able to sort of get through it and continue doing music where a lot of people, like I said, dad dies. I got to go take over the factory. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Jimmy quit. Bobby got married. What was that? The summer of '69? Or
Yeah.
That's exactly what that's talking about. And no, man, I was focused and I realized at a young age that I have to get out of this town. So I moved to London and went to the music course there, as a way to make my parents happy, but for me to, first of all, move away from St. Catharines and get in a musical environment, learn to record, learn to produce. Of course, you have to go, if you're in, say, Ontario, you at least have to go to Toronto or Vancouver if you're in Canada and chase your dream, man. Like, get out of your comfort zone. Don't stay a local. Don't be a big fish in a little pond. You have to go where the big boys are and start from scratch and really work hard.
Of all the things that you're outside of music, what are you best at outside of music?
Nothing. I'm just a grump unless I'm playing. But seriously, what am I best at? I don't have a lot of other interests. It's kind of sad, but
I think you're doing okay.
No, I know, but somehow, I mean, music is just because I run a lot of the business with the band. So when I'm not playing, my days are filled up doing all the admin stuff and my songwriting stuff. It's all like it's a full-time job.
Do you book the band? Who books the band?
No, I don't book. We have an agency, but I'm kind of the point person for a lot of the stuff that comes our way for business things and just,
When did she know this? When did you look at your daughter and say, she's got something here? How old was she?
Quite young, because she grew up like there's always been like 100 guitars in the house and me, music. I got a son who's a photographer, so it's all arts around here, but she just kind of gravitated towards just music and playing guitar. And then she started, singing. She's always loved to sing. And when she did that, it's like this, her intonation was just so good, just a naturally good voice. So we just nurtured that. It's something that she loved to do. We didn't push her, and she's quite good at it. So we got her out quite early playing gigs around town. And I said, Leah, if you want to play, you got to get out there and perform, get in front of people. And she's been doing it since she's like 8 years old. She's 19 now, and a good little songwriter. So quite young, she got, into music.
What's the other song? I don't know why I didn't write that down. Not doing my research well. I'm not. What's the other song?
It came out in the fall of last year called Tell Me What You Want.
Okay.
And it's got a video. It's a different kind of track than the new one. It's not as rock and heavy, but it's very Honeymoon Suite. And it did really, a lot of people love that song. So
Patrick Simmons of the Doobie Brothers, their guitarist. Are you familiar with him? Yeah. Like, to me, Patrick Simmons has always been like the glue. No matter what version of the Doobie Brothers you got Pat Simmons there. Tom left, of course, because then Michael came in. But I've always been like those little ditties he put in between the songs. And of course he'd have his own hits too. Like South City Midnight Lady was a great tune. What's that ragtime song that from '74? I want to
feel that funky Dixie.
Thank you.
Mama
Yeah.
by the-
Well, as a Doobie Brothers fan, what do you think of him? Do you have any opinion on Pat Simmons?
Well, he's, like you say, the glue. He's the staple member. He's been there from day one. People came and go. He is, when you see him, he is the Doobies.
Yeah.
For sure. I think he's a great songwriter, and I always love the Doobies because I love bands that have 2 or 3 lead singers in them.
Yeah.
You have so many different flavors of songs.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. What's your favorite Canadian act?
My favorite Canadian act, oh my gosh.
You can give me a few if you want.
Of all time, I mean, I grew up listening, my first rock stars with the Guess Who was Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman. Only because I wanted to be a songwriter, and I was just amazed at the songs that these guys were writing, and they had this incredible success in the U.S., with No Sugar Tonight, American Woman, and all that early stuff. And Burton Cummings was one of the best singers on the planet and still is. He's up there with Paul Rogers and all these guys. There's only a few of them. What a voice. So, and Randy Bachman as the writer. So I would say, of all time, I mean, there's been so many bands, but the Guess Who is just because of their catalog.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Remember, if you want to support the channel, it's been a crazy time for all our channels in the last little while. And that's one of the reasons we ask for support, because YouTube's revenue lately has been insane to a point where we actually thought of quitting. So if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link in the description. You can join our Patreon. You'll get early access to our videos. And we have a swag store where you can buy Rock History Canada, Rock History Book, or Rock History Music t-shirts, hats, all kinds of clothing. Subscribe to our channel, share our videos, comment on them, and like them. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Canada.